Is the Moto E6 worth buying in 2020? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. Hi everyone, this is Kevin here, and in this video, we're going to be discussing whether or not the Moto E6 is worth buying in 2020. Now, this device is available factory unlocked, and I will be leaving a link in the video description where you can check it out on Amazon, as well as seeing the most up-to-date pricing. But you can also buy the phone with a variety of different carriers. I know you can get it at Metro by T-Mobile and Visible, for example, and I believe it's available at even more carriers than that. And typically, if you try to get the phone through a carrier, you will be saving a lot of money compared to just buying one unlocked online. Now, the benefit of buying a factory unlocked phone is that you are not bound to just one carrier. You can easily switch from carrier to carrier. So I typically recommend going that route, but definitely make sure to see what kind of deals you can get with your carrier. Now, the Moto E6 features a 5.45-inch display at 720p. It's an LCD display, and you're getting an 18:9 aspect ratio. So a little bit of a taller and thinner design compared to the standard 16:9 display. Now, the display itself, despite being 720p, does still look really good. It's nice and clear, and overall, I'm a big fan of the way it looks. So it's not necessarily the brightest display ever, but it's also not extremely dim. It will certainly get the job done for like 99% of people. Now, up top here, we do have a 5-megapixel front-facing camera. The device does have pretty large bezels on the top and bottom, and there is no notch on the top either. So it's a little bit more of a traditional design compared to other devices that we've seen that have come out with teardrop notches at the top. But if you are more into kind of the old school traditional design for smartphones, then you'll certainly like the Moto E6. Now, the phone features 16 gigabytes of internal storage with SD card expansion. I do wish that it had a bit more internal storage than just 16 gigabytes, but I guess we'll have to live with it. At least you can expand the storage though with a micro SD card. Now, the phone does not feature wireless charging. Another thing that it does not have is a fingerprint sensor on the back, and that is a pretty big disappointment. You also do not get face unlock with the phone, so you are limited to using a password or PIN code to unlock the device. So that can get a bit repetitive after a while, so I'm not too crazy about that, but I suppose it is a compromise that you do have to make for the budget price tag of this phone. Now, on the back side of the phone, we just have a single camera here, so no portrait mode with the device, but it is a 13-megapixel rear camera and actually does take pretty decent photos. The device features 2 gigabytes of RAM and has the Qualcomm Snapdragon 435. So 2 gigs of RAM is another thing in 2020 that I'm not too crazy about, and the Snapdragon 425 isn't anything too special either. But I did run an Antutu benchmark test so that you can see basically the kind of results that we're getting here. And I got an overall score of 71285. So not the best score ever, but also not totally awful. Definitely kind of the score that you'd expect to get with a lower end phone. Now, another surprise too is haptic feedback. So haptic feedback is the vibration that the phone makes when you tap on different buttons, like the keyboard or the home button. And it actually feels really solid. So that's kind of a unique feature that you don't really find with a lot of budget phones, as they typically have kind of mediocre haptic feedback. So definitely nice to see that the Moto E6 does have pretty good haptic feedback. But the phone is usable at least. What's nice is that it does feature Android 9 Pie, so you are going to be getting very good performance with this device, and it seems like the software is very well optimized with the hardware. You're also not really getting any bloatware. Now, this version of the phone is the Metro by T-Mobile version of it, and it does have some Metro bloatware pre-installed, but that's pretty much standard with any Metro phone. Video recording with the Moto E6 maxes out at 1080p at 30 frames per second. The device features a 3000 milliamp hour removable battery, so not the biggest battery ever, but it is removable and technically swappable if you did buy another battery to go with it. So I'll show you that right now, how that works. But essentially, there is a little cutout here. Yeah, it's right here. And you can take the back of the phone off. And it is pretty easy to remove the back, which is great because I've removed the backs of other devices in the past where it's been really difficult. But you can see here is the actual battery itself, and then there's the slot for the micro SD card and SIM card. But it is very rare nowadays to find phones that have removable batteries. So if that is a feature that is important to you, then this might be a good option for you. Now on the left side of the phone, we have nothing. Then on the right side of the phone, we have the power button and volume button. Then on the top of the device, we have the noise canceling microphone and 3.5mm headphone jack. And then on the bottom of the phone, we have the microphone and we have a micro USB port for charging and data transfer. So it is a bit disappointing to see that we do get micro USB with the Moto E6. I was certainly hoping that we would get, maybe USB-C ideally, because that's the way things are really moving. And especially in 2020, there really aren't too many new devices coming out nowadays that feature micro USB. I suppose the good news though is that if you do happen to already have a lot of micro USB cables, then you will be able to use those with your Moto E6. But that's essentially the design of the device. We do have this nice frosted finish here on the back of the phone. So what's cool about that is that it does not pick up any fingerprints. So I'm always a big fan of that. It also seems to be pretty durable. And the phone has definitely held up for the time that I've had it. Now the camera quality is certainly one of the biggest surprises with the Moto E6. It does take very nice looking photos that are very sharp. So for a budget device like this one, typically you don't really expect too much in the camera department, but this phone certainly does seem to kind of go above and beyond the expectations that I have, even though they are kind of low. But you can see here is the front-facing camera, not too bad either, some pretty decent colors there. You're certainly not going to win any photography awards with the Moto E6, but it still does take decent photos. You do actually get portrait mode with the rear camera. That's pretty awesome, so great to see that that is there. But with the front camera, there is no portrait mode. So this is the Visible R2 by ZTE. This is their most entry. The Moto E6 is actually a pretty good phone for watching video content. So what's great about it is that you do get pretty good speaker quality with the phone. So I wasn't really expecting that. Now, of course, the speaker quality isn't going to be anywhere near what you'd get with a flagship like the Galaxy S10, LG G8, or the iPhone 11, but it still is very decent, and I'm happy with that. What's nice too is that you can crop in your videos as well to fill up the entire display to give you a more immersive experience. So it's certainly a good option if you're really into consuming video content. So is the Moto E6 a good phone to buy in 2020? I don't think it's an awful choice. I think it does give you some nice features such as a removable, swappable battery, a pretty good display, and well-optimized software that works really well with the phone. In addition to that, Motorola does create very high-quality devices, so at least you'll have the comfort of knowing that you're going to probably get very good reliability with the phone over an extended period of time. But there's certainly a lot of downsides with the phone. Probably the biggest downside for me is that there is no fingerprint sensor on the back and not even any sort of face unlock. It does get a bit annoying after a while having used the PIN code every time I want to unlock the phone. And in addition to that, 2 gigs of RAM on here is not very impressive either. And the Qualcomm Snapdragon 435 is nothing to get too excited about. Probably the biggest surprise with the Moto E6 has to be the camera module. It takes very decent photos, especially for a budget phone, so I do appreciate that. But beyond that, there's really nothing about this phone that is very special. So I would recommend that maybe the only reason why you would get this is if it's really on sale and you can get a really good deal on it, whether that's from your local carrier or maybe even they're running some sort of promotion to save money on it, factory unlocked. But if you do want to buy the factory unlocked version of the phone, then definitely take a look at the link in the video description as they'll take you over to Amazon. But I hope you enjoyed this video. This is the Moto E6 in 2020, but my name is Kevin. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video, and I will see you in the next one.